You can't spell disappointment without... A 2009 interview with Jimmy Kimmel and Megan Fox was making its rounds on Reddit yet again, reminding everyone of just how disgusting the 2000s were, especially in terms of misogyny. Makes me feel bad for being, like, sickeningly nostalgic for that time, but I didn't know what the was going on. Misogyny that Jimmy Kimmel, now supposedly outraged by the Epstein files, helped perpetuate and normalize. But it wasn't just sexism, sadly. It was also, well, mistreatment of underage girls, we'll say. Megan Fox walks out and gives Jimmy's pal Guillermo a hug, which Jimmy then follows with a racist joke.
I think I saw his chalupa there, Guillermo.
Some shit that a middle school boy would say and think is funny. They then go on to talk about Megan's first job, dancing as a banana, and Bible camp, and how she had her first crush there. It leads into her love of comic books and drawing comics. A woman after my own heart. This is the part where I can see people trying to pin responsibility on her, and I'd like to get ahead of that. Before a celebrity has an interview or appears on a talk show, the topics and questions that will come up are more or less vetted. To my knowledge, the person being interviewed isn't just dropped into the deep end and unaware of what will be asked of them. That would be disastrous, as we've seen on the red carpet. So, more or less, Megan and or her team had to give the okay for what Jimmy would bring up. So it was planned, obviously, that she would present a drawing of Jimmy as this big, muscular guy. We can only guess that she was aware, possibly, that he would then continue the bit with a drawing of the two of them having sex. But we must make note that her knowing about it or even approving it doesn't mean she was comfortable with it. It was only 17 years ago, but it was such a different time. Misogyny is incredibly prevalent today, absolutely. But largely, I don't think women realized back then just how much we had the option to fight back. We were led to believe we had to take everything lying down. So I will not jump to point my finger at Megan Fox and say approving it, if she did, meant she was okay with it. Women are taught not to combat anything or make a fuss or a scene. We're taught it makes us difficult and unpleasant. I love being difficult and unpleasant.
I am fucking crazy. But I am free.
That she went on to imply Jimmy's behavior was creepy, to my comprehension at least, only makes my stance more validated. In 2021, Yahoo wrote, looking back, Megan said, that was a microcosm of my whole life and whole interaction with Hollywood. It was just very dark. That darkness is only further pronounced as this interview continues. Jimmy Kimmel asks what it's like working with the guy who directed Transformers. Megan, quite famously, recounts the first time she worked with him on a Bad Boys film and what it entailed.
I was wearing a Stars and Stripes bikini and a red cowboy hat. They took me to Mike and he approved it, and they said, you know, Michael, she's 15, so you can't sit her at the bar and she can't have a drink in her hand. So his solution to that was to then have me dancing underneath a waterfall getting soaking wet.
Perfectly wholesome.
At 15, I was in 10th grade. So that's sort of a microcosm of how Bay's mind works.
Well, that's really a microcosm of how all our minds works, but some of us have the decency to repress those thoughts and pretend that they don't exist.
Right.
Repeatedly, she emphasizes how young she was. She's 15. I was 15. I was in 10th grade. How does Kimmel choose to respond to that? Oh yeah, we all think like that. It's just that some of us are good guys and hide it. Not to be that person, because I hate like TikTok body language experts, but her demeanor says it all. The awkward leg touch, her face here. This has like 2 pixels, so you probably can't see it, but she's like looking at the audience like the fact she's just like, oh, okay. And vetting the questions and topics beforehand doesn't mean every single word that will be spoken in an interview can be approved and prepared for. I very highly doubt she knew he was going to say this wild, asinine, PDF normalizing bullshit. Nasty. That is nasty. Jimmy Kimmel. No, we do not all actually yearn to see 15-year-olds getting soaking wet in bikinis, because we are not all weird little dark dwelling Megan Fox said in a now deleted Instagram post that Michael Bay never hurt her, and she views this moment as inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. That doesn't mean it wasn't disgusting and weird. Besides, I do believe if she heard someone else recalling this story, she would find it abhorrent. We have a habit of minimizing our own unsavory experiences, so I'll be upset for you, girl. Don't even worry about it. As always, when something resurfaces, I love taking a gander through the comments. And there, I found someone reminiscing negatively about a time when Jimmy Kimmel hosted something called The Man Show on Comedy Central. This commenter said he was always like this, i.e. a degenerate, and implied the person we see now is merely an act because such behavior became socially unacceptable. So I did some research, and by research I mean I just typed Jimmy Kimmel The Man Show into the YouTube search bar, and holy balls is all I can think to say. Here we have Jimmy Kimmel in blackface for an Oprah Winfrey skit. Here we have Jimmy Kimmel partaking in a skit that essentially laments the year women, white women to be super specific, finally gained the right to vote.
Women are voting, all thanks to the women's suffrage movement.
Led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, pioneers in the field of bitching, moaning, and complaining.
How long is this gonna go on?
Obviously, the surface level joke here is that they're taking advantage of ignorant people who think suffrage means suffering. They're getting those people to sign to stop suffrage, thinking they're in support of women. However, it stops being ironic when someone asks, "What about male suffrage?" And he responds with,
What about male suffrage?
No, that's okay.
furthermore, what is so funny about joking about stripping women of their rights? Can someone explain that to me? Maybe it's because of the political landscape I am currently living in, you know, the United States 2026. But the idea of joking about losing rights, extremely not funny. And to be honest, I can't imagine that joking about so violently oppressing and dehumanizing a group of people was ever okay. It was just extremely acceptable amongst certain people. Males will bitch and moan and complain about women hating them, and then this is how they talk about us amongst each other. It really is just so stupid. This society is so damn stupid. Here's a skit from the first episode in 1999 about how much they just can't stand women.
We are building a dam.
A dam to hold back the tidal wave of feminization that is flooding this country. A dam to stop the river of estrogen that is drowning us in political correctness.
Men are such cowards. They will enact such violence through policies and thinly veiled piss-poor humor, beliefs, and opinions that all make it so abundantly clear how much they obsessively hate women, but once they're called out on it, they throw a hissy fit. They can't even stand on business about what misogynists they are. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Men being like this doesn't shock or surprise me anymore. Even as someone who has very much enjoyed the Jimmy Kimmel show, I don't even think I'm disappointed. I just feel like, oh, okay, another one bites the dust. It is what it is. See, yes, it has been a long time since this disgraceful monstrosity of a show and this interview. Jimmy Kimmel now has positioned himself as someone who refuses to let up off of the misogynistic neck. I have supported that endeavor. However, supposed change without accountability feels a little insincere. It feels like hiding and hoping no one will find your unsavory past. And I think true change can only come about when you say, yes, I said and did those things. It's nothing to be proud of. I was wrong. I was an asshole. I'm sorry, I've learned. That isn't something I've seen here. Not entirely, at least. Now, this is not necessarily just an attack on Jimmy Kimmel. As I've said, I enjoy his show. I do think he is capable of owning up to something and apologizing for it. He has apologized for a bad taste stunt involving Quinta Brunson. In 2013, he apologized for an exceptionally poor joke about offing everyone in China and getting children to play along. Why not apologize for very clear displays of misogyny and anti-blackness? That's only what I felt like watching, by the way. I'm sure there's worse. If you're a millennial or older and remember this show from back in the day, feel free to tell me just how bad it was in the comments, because I will not be venturing further for myself, to be honest with you. Trying to normalize the sexualization of a child is too far, though. It should still be addressed, but I do hope one day Jimmy Kimmel addresses the extent of his past and sincerely apologizes for it. Seeing and hearing these things definitely makes me view him in a different light, but I do not think he is a hopeless person. Perhaps that's naive of me, but you know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. And Thank you for getting me into the YouTube Partner Program. As I said in my post, it is only up from here. Big things coming.